Hey guys, welcome back to Postman API testing. This is Sharful. In this lecture, we're going to learn how to perform data-driven test for API using Postman. So before we jump on our testing, let's see our document. So in our document, this is our contract document. You're supposed to be familiar with that, if you have just gone through my last few lecture. So over here you can see that's one of our previous testing, we use post method. So there was a post testing, so we use this post method to create a data or to post a data to database, like about a new user. So it was the request body. So it was the request body to create a single user, okay, using the post method. So let's go back to the similar the test cases we have done in our post lecture. So here you can see this is the post, this is our endpoint, API endpoint, and this is the method is post method, and here is the our request body where we have a name and two node is name and job, like key and value, and this is the name and this is the value for the job. We have did this test. Just I'm giving you just high level. So what if we want to instead of adding one new user or creating one new user, what if I have a multiple sets of user, like 3-4 user, and I want to add all of them and all the user data I want to import from a external source, which is called data driven. So you are going to driven the data, you are going to drive the data from the outsource, okay? So and to get the multiple sets of data. So that's the overall high level, you can say that's a data driven. And the way you are going to perform that kind of test, that's called data driven testing. So in this lecture, we're going to create a not one single user, we're going to create a multiple user, something like that, but all the user data will be in an external resource. It could be the CSV file or it could be a JSON file. Okay, so let's do this. So to do this, so let's create a collection first. Okay, it will be completely separate. So I'm going to create a new collection. I will say data driven test. Okay, so this is a collection name, data driven test. So here is a collection, data driven test. Over here let's create a add request. So what would be the request? I will use the same endpoint or API. So this is the one. So go there and just give a name, data driven request over here. So here give a name, you can give a name data driven test. So you can say create multiple user. Okay, so this is you can say test title, and here it is the endpoint. Okay, so this is the same endpoint you can find from our document, so or from our previous test cases, right? So it's exactly from here. So this is the one. Okay, so the post one. So this is the same API URL. I place it up here, and the method would be post, right? And what we did before, so before example, if I just go back to my previous test cases, up there we pass a data along with our request. So along with our request over here, so pass the data. So for the body, you will click on body, then raw, and the format would be JSON format, and here is the data, right? So it means we want to add a new user whose information, name is like Shareful and job is like QA leader, and this data will pass through the this endpoint. This is the API endpoint, and since we're creating the data to the database, so that's why we're using a post method, right? So all you can do just click on send, and you can see now as our output. So our output is supposed to reflect the same data is been created to the database, and there is a auto generated ID that's created automatically, and also the timestamp. Okay, and also the status code is 201, which is means it's created. It means it's ensured this is status code. This data that I pass along with my request has been created to the database, right? So that's what we did from also in our previous lecture when we cover for the post request, right? So now, as I said, now we're going to place 3 different user. We're going to get the 3 different users. So before we go, so let's see this what we did for the testings. For the testing, we can confirm as a human, we can confirm manually. That's okay. We receive the return body, right, as a as a response body. This is the information we're supposed to receive. This is the response body, that's what we can see, and also is matched with our expected status code. But we can write our test cases. It's exactly the same test cases we wrote previously also. If you go back to our last lecture to there, right, last lecture, so test, go to the test. So this is the JSON code we can place over here too for our test, right? We can place here where we're saying that we're confirming. So this is one test cases, and then we're saying response code dot code. So we're referring this response code, which is the 2.1. We're matching this, and also we're calling the parse method from the JSON, which is, and we're passing the response body, so that it's this response body convert to a JavaScript object, and it's placed in a variable is called response, and its type is var, since it is a JavaScript, right? So if you are not understand this part, please go back to my previous lecture, like start from the the lecture I covered. Then up there I clearly explain each and every line how this works. So we don't want to spend more and more time again to explain the same code, right? So this is the means it will be convert this response body to a JavaScript object, and this object will be stored in this variable. So response, this is the variable. You have the knowledge about this, it is JavaScript, right? So this response body. Now we're referring, so test is the keyword we use to create a test cases, and this is just the title of the test case. So we're saying that response, we're referring this response dot name. Name is the node, right? So we have to pass the right path, so we're referring this name. So it means we're referring this path to name path, and then equals to shuffle. So we're going to match that. So we're saying if you go to the name key, we're supposed to receive the the value should be shuffle, so which is like this. And also similarly, job should be the QA leader, right? So this is the is matching key and value. So with our according to our response body. So this is the key, this is the value. So if we pass different value, it will not match, right? So so this is our test cases. So this is our expected value, and this is our actual. So if both match, it will be passed, right? So let's save it, and then send it again. Click on send. You can see this result. The valid status code is passed, verify the name is passed, as well as the job title passed. So this is just repeated test cases we did for the post method. So what if now the data driven, it means instead of over here in a body, instead of writing this direct hard code, so over here we did a hard code about a new user name, and also the value of the job. So instead of that, what if we have an external file, something like that. Let me show you. Let me go to show you one of my folder here, and I have a, you can see, let me open the demo data. So this is a CSV file, this is a CSV file, as well as this is a JSON file. So this is the two different file you can see, and demo data, you can see it is a CSV. So if you just right click CSV, it's like pretty much same like a Excel file. So you can just convert when you have an Excel file, you can just save as CSV. That time it will convert to CSV. But you can open it. If you just double click, it will open. So over here I have a you can see 3 sets of data. First one in it 2 columns. So one column is name, another column title is job. So there is a 2 column, and then each column I have a 3 sets of data. So here is a 3 different name and also 3 different title. For every name there is a title. So it means I have a 3 sets of user and also their job title according to that. So 3 user up here, right? So I want to create data. I want to create a user according to this data, according to this 3 data to the database using the post method. How can I do this? So this file, first of all, this is an external file, right? This is the external file over here. Name is demo data. So you can import, read data from any different type of file. It could be the text file, it could be the CSV file, or it could be the JSON file. So process is same, doesn't matter what type of file. So I'm going to show you the CSV one. Okay, so over here now, since this was a specific user data, so instead of and this is a hard code, we give a key as well as a value. So instead of giving a key and value, we're going to like make a very generic data, so that because we have a name and value, name and the job, 3 sets of user name and job in our CSV file. The actual value is up there, key and value. So over here we don't want to put the name and value, because then it will be just only one single user. So instead of, we'll pass over here generic just the title, like name and value, name and job, and then without a actual value of the name and actual value of the job, so that for the each and every name we can get that the value for the name from this CSV file. Okay, to do this over here, we're going to do a little bit customize here. So we'll write name, it's fine. So this is the the column name. So what would be the value for the name? We'll get the value from the CSV. So over here we'll just tweak a little bit, make it very generic. So we'll say curly braces. So there will be the double curly braces. We'll have double curly braces, and then we'll have over here name. Okay, and then we'll have over here, instead of that, again double curly braces, and then over here we'll say job. Okay, so this name is the column, this is the header of the column, and this job is the header of the column, and then this name will be the value for the name, for the first set, for the first user name and the value, first user job and the value. Then it will update with the fill up with the second user. So because then we have to execute this code 3 times, 3 iteration. We need to run 3 times, so that each time first set of name and job get the actual value name and job from our CSV file. Okay, so now, so make sure you save it, and then how we're going to get that. Now we need to import that CSV file. How can we do this? To do this, if you see at the very bottom over here, there is a button, is called runner. Click on the runner, and here you can choose few things. Number 1, iteration, how many times you want to run. We have to run 3 times at least if you want to get all the 3 user, because we have a 3 different user, name and job. So every time it will execute, it will return, it will pick the first set of data like user, name and job, and then second iteration it will get the second sets of user, name and job, and the third iteration it will get the last one. So if we say 2, it depends on how many user you want to import. If you want to import all 3, we have to run 3 times. If you want to import like first 2 over here, if you want to, where is that data? If you want to import just only Jenny and Annie, so these 2, then we have to, our iteration have to be select 2 times. Then so for the first iteration it will pick up the the first sets of data like first user, name and then job, then second it's Annie and this is the job. But if you want to get the third one too, that means you have to, our iteration have to select 3 times, because every iteration it will pick up it will retrieve the data, it will pick up the first sets of data, first user. Okay, so get back to here, so we'll say 3. Okay, and here is the delay. It means you will give it some little bit break time, so that every time it's retrieve the data from this CSV file, it gets some little bit extra time, some buffering time, so that there is no syncing issue, because it's retrieving data from external source, right? So the system needs a little bit time, so that if there is a some server issue happen, or the performance issue happens, so that it can adjust with that, and it doesn't throw any error before it set times out. So let's put, I would say 3 to 4 seconds. Let's put as 4. It's not a second, it's a milliseconds. So 4 milliseconds is very, very less, right? Now here we can select the data. So where is the data? So we have the data in our CSV file. So over here, demo data, right? So this is the data. So you can select any one of them. Okay, let's select this one. This is the CSV one. Click on OK, and then please check the preview. This is important. If you click on preview, it will see all of your data. It's showing as an expected, like the way it is. So this is the title, name and job. This is the first sets of user, name and job, second sets of user, and third sets of user. So it looks perfect. Okay, so you can do exactly the same if you want to. Let's select this CSV one too. I mean a JSON file. So JSON is the demo data. It should be, I should have the same. So if you click on this one, exactly the same, you see. So it doesn't matter what type, but to make sure that you can you select this the file, and you have a data. So your file should have data first. And also if you have a just even CSV file, you can convert that CSV file to JSON, right? Let me show you. Let me go back to our so if you just go to Google and just say convert CSV to JSON, here is a CSV to JSON, and then you will find convert, this is the site csvjson.com. if you go there and then go to CSV to JSON, select this one, and then over here if you just open your file, just the demo data. So just select this your file, and then place it there, place it over here. This is a CSV format. So your CSV format, this is the one, and then you want to move to want to convert to JSON. So this is the JSON format, and then just click on over here. Okay, this is, you can see exactly this is a JSON format. This is the JSON format. Then you can download it. Click on up there, it will be downloaded, and so it will be created as a JSON format. So exactly that's the way I did. So whether you have a just XML file, and then you can save that XML file as a CSV, and after that you can use convert this CSV to the JSON too, using this this application. So anyway, so here is a let's keep it a JSON, that's fine. Okay, and after that now you have to run. So before you run, you see this is not active. So how to run it? To run it, you have to choose like exactly your the the method, or the test case or request you want to apply this iteration, this number of iteration, this file, where this is my the request, post request. So this is my post request. When you drag and drop over here, so this test case, this iteration, this file, everything will be applied in this request, in this test request. Okay, now click on run data driven tests. It means this is like this was our collection. So I'm going to click on there. Let's run it. Okay, how many times I run? Okay, it's saying over here, let's see. So it's saying that it's a status. You'll see that this is the first iteration. The status code pass, but verify the name and assertion for didn't pass. It's expected, so the assertion was failed. So let me see the why assertion was failed. Let's go back to our test cases. So this is our test case. We're back to here. So let's see our tests. Oh, I see. So you see this why it's failed. So it's passed. This assertion was passed, right? This test case was passed because it's created three. Definitely, it's created 3 user, and that each and every user when it's created, it's the status code was 201. It's match. It's passed, but here in our test cases, we specifically, this was the test cases for a single user, like we did previously. But right now in this scenario, we're not matching, one is specific user. So this was the assertion for a single user. So verify the name, sure for also verify the the job is QA leader. But in this case, this is not the true, because in this case we have 3 sets of user, and each and every sets of user. So it means what happened, this test apply to the first set of user, and this test apply to the second sets of user, and so every sets of user on all the test cases was applied. So definitely for the first sets, it didn't find the shortfall. There is no one is like a shortfall and queue leader, right? That's so if you go back to our test cases, right? So this is our data, right? This is our CSV file. You see the name, there is no one is shortfall. So Jenny, Annie, and Jackson is the name, and QA leader. So it didn't match, right? So none of the test case, none of the scenario, sets of data match with our testing. So that's why it didn't pass. So what do we say? Let me to make it pass. Okay, let's go over here in the body response. So we'll change. We have to make it very generic response. So what are you going to do? So from our test cases, let's remove for now this test, these 2 test cases. So in this case, now it should the pass, right? We'll see that what shows in the response. Then based on the response, we'll create a test cases over here. Okay, let's go back to again runner, then drag your the test cases, and then over here we'll have 3 different iteration, and then let's put it as 4 milliseconds, and then select this file. So we're going to click on select this one, CSV. So previously we did a JSON, now it's a CSV. We'll do the CSV. Okay, CSV file, right? Let's check the preview. It looks good. Click on run data driven test. Okay, and it looks like again this is also still is failing. Why it still is failing? So it was failing. The reason why, I believe that our last the test cases was still here because we didn't save the file. So make sure before you run it, you save with the new changes, just since we removed the other test cases. So save the file, make sure you save it and make sure it's saved. Then go back to runner again, and the iteration select 3, and then delay it's 4 milliseconds. Select the file, CSV file, right, CSV file, and then drag the post request, and then click on the so name is data driven test. Here is the name, run data driven test. Here we can see, each and every test cases got pass, right, for the first iteration. So this is the pass. Since we have only one test cases which is validating the status code, right? If you see over here, if you click on there, you can see the request body and also response body. Okay, you can see the response body over here. Request, where is the request body? Here is the request body. So first sets of request data was Jenny, and then the job was QA. And then if you go the second sets, so request header, request body, this is the another one, any QA leads. You see it's matching. This is the second set, right? And see what shows in the response body. Response body was not logged anything, so it's nothing up there. Okay, okay. And then the last one you can see, so create multiple users. So over here, if you go there, then request, you can see request body. Here's the last one, Jackson. So it's match each. That's why we need the 3 iteration, because each iteration it's pick the one sets of data. Okay, and also the title is QA manager. And also you can run again if you want. You can run again. You can see this. You can view summary. If you click on there, it will tell you that the view summary. So multiple users. So it's a pass for the first one. This is the, and then you can see this, like it was 3 sets, and valid test cases the status code was pass for 3 sets over here. So this is like the view result is some sort of result summary. Okay, and then so let's go back to our test cases again over here. So let's say that what else we can test, we validate, as a test validation. We know that we can validate like 2-1, it's created, and what else? So usually, if you have, since our test body now have very generic, even so very generic, just name, key is a name, and job, and value is name and job, because this name and job, the actual value will be replaced from the CSV file. So even though if you just run this one, it will show you exactly this is the same data will be created in our database, right? So when you will get the data, actual data for name and job, it will become over here. So it will be name and job over here. So if you see, along with our name and job, there is an ID always created for each and every. So it means each and every sets of data, every sets of user, there will be some ID. So what we can do in our test, the validation series over here, along with our status code, we can add more test cases, like something like that, TESC test. So this test is the reserved keyword, and to write it test cases in Postman, right? And then this is a title, so you will say check the validate, I will say validate response, validate ID, validate ID in response. Okay, so in a response, we definitely we know there will be a string or node. It's called ID. It must be, definitely, there will be name and job too. So let's keep, pick up the one specific string like ID. So I will just make sure that the ID belongs to it's available in our response body. It should be there. Okay, so equals to, we'll say, so we'll refer to the where this ID should be, we're validating in our response body. So let's refer to the response body, response, right, body, response body dot has. So we're saying in a response body where we should have, it means has, what is string? So a string is like ID. We're looking for ID. Okay, it should have a one is string should have, it means has, we're using has as a keyword. That means it's a, it's should have ID anywhere in our response body. So this is another test cases. So in this way you can add more test cases. You can make sure that okay, there is a name string up there in response body, or job, whatever you say. Okay, so this is just another set of test cases. And to make it more specific, what we can do, we can add, if you see that there is a more tab over here, there is a header. In your header, there's a key and value. You can test any one of the key which is important in regards to your context. So you have your developer should mention, okay, make sure that from the header you test also, say example, content type or content length, and the value is this. Okay, whatever as per their suggestion, you can test any one of the key and value from the header too. So in our case, example, we'll check the content, say example, content type. Okay, so assume that your developer said, okay, make sure the content type should be application/JSON, and then char set equals to UTF-8. This is our value. So how can we verify that? Okay, from our response header we can do this. So to do this, so where this content, the key and value, it is in headers. So we have to call the header. So let me type it first. So we're going to, there is a reserved keyword in Postman. It's called PM. It means Postman. It comes from the Postman library. PM dot. So we'll say PM dot test, and then we have to create a JavaScript function. So we're saying PM dot test, and then there will be title here. We'll say check content. So what is the key is content type, right? Content type, check content type. This is just a title, something, description for this test. So PM, you can see if you hover, you will say it will give you the description. It's a PM, it's the Postman object, okay, and closes all information pertaining to the script being executed and allow us. So it means this is the object. PM is the Postman object what have all the information from your response, right, from your response body, header, everywhere, like even cookies. So it is referring to this, all of the response, the different header, metadata, or other, if you have other tab, everything. So and test is like a test, and this is a just you can say just a description so about this test. So check content type in response. Okay, you can something say, or header, check content type in header. Okay, headers, right? So this is just description of the test cases. Now we have to create a JavaScript function. So create a JavaScript function, make a comma, and then you have to write a keyword. It's called function. To create a function in JavaScript, so to create a function in JavaScript, all we do, we use the keyword function, then this is the function. So it means this is a function. You're creating a function. That's the way you create a function in JavaScript. Unlike Java, to create a function you have to give a function name, then your return type, and then so but in JavaScript, all you can create a function this way, like all you have to just use the function keyword, and this is the then use the function sign. Now you have to add the body. Okay, so this is the body of your function. So over here we're going to say PM again. So since PM have the knowledge, it is the object of the Postman, have the knowledge about your header. So we'll say PM and then dot. You can see all the different method inside belongs to PM. So you can say your response. You can, using the PM, you can call anything like your request, your response. So even you can test from your request too. So in your request, if you want to verify like any header, any information from the header, you can do this. So anyways, you are picking the response. So we're saying pm.response dot, we're going to match to b dot b dot header. So we're going to select the, where is the header? Okay, I think we did a mistake to over here, response to dot b. You can see it's already shows other option b dot. Now you can see what you want to call. You can call so you can type ps response to be header. So we're saying from the response from inside the header. So what we're looking for, so pass the argument. So what you're looking for, we're looking for the content type, right? Header. So what's that? Content. Make sure you type exactly as it is. Okay, exactly as it is. Content type. Puts it over here. Content type, then comma, and what's we're expecting the value for the content type. The value should be this. So put it exactly as it is. Okay, so we're saying the pm response to be header. Okay, content type, that this is the content type we're matching. So from the headers, we're matching the content type key. The value should be this. Okay, so here just make sure you added the semicolon at the very end, and since this is a JavaScript, shouldn't be problem if you don't even miss this semicolon. So anyways, so here we have it. How many test cases do we have? One test, it will match the status code. Another test, it will match, make sure on our response body has id string, right? This is the third test. So this is the third test where we're calling the pm object from the Postman object. It comes from the Postman library again, and this test, it means test is not similarly like this because it is completely using the JavaScript format. And here is you are creating a function. So this is first is it has a two part. For the test, it has a one part is description or the title of the test. This is the title of the test, and this is another part is a function. You are creating a JavaScript function. Inside the function, you have a body. You are using this pm object again and calling the response. So because this header is also part of the response, right? It is comes from under the response. So we're saying from the response to be header. So in the response, we should have a header to be a header to be header. So we should have a header where we have a content type. We have a key. It's content type, and the value should be this is the value should be this is the value. So we should match this one too. Okay, and then make sure you save it, and then let's go back to our runner again. And now you can just select this 3 iteration, and then deletes 4, right? Select the file, any one of them, whether CSV or your JSON file. Click on over here, drag the post method, and then click on run your test. Here we go. You can see all of your test cases is passing. This is the first iteration. So your content type is headers is passing, is pass, and then validation is pass. Status code and the response also pass. All of them. Second iteration, all of them you can see is pass, and you can see how long it took for each and every iteration. That's a millisecond, right? So and total test run 3. So because each test run we have each iteration we have 3 tests. So so it's a 3 iteration. We have a total 9 test cases passed. The total iteration 3. Environment, in real life you will have an environment, so you can select the environment so that it can run on that specific environment. Okay, so that's the way you can run data driven tests for API using the Postman. So pretty much that's all about the data driven testing. Stay tuned. In our next lecture we'll see that how we can run your test through the command line, how we can run all of your test suite all the test suite, like we had previously we had all the like post method, post request, get request, delete, all of them together. Also how you can get a report. So next lecture is going to be very interesting. Stay tuned. If you like this tutorial, please subscribe, like and share with others. Have a good one. Bye bye.